Hello all, and welcome to the Mimo Podcast. Mimo, of course, being the protocol that allows you to use your crypto without selling it. Very special episode today here. We have Jeremy Musighi, the head of growth over at Balancer Labs, and of course, our very own CEO here at Mimo. We have Claude here as well. So Jeremy, thank you so very much for coming in. I'm very excited to dive into Balancer and of course, Mimo's strong relationship with the protocol over there as well. And Claude, thank you very much for chiming in here as well for some color commentary and everything else on top of the episode. So Jeremy, how are you today? Everything's good?
Doing great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, we're over here in New York right now, just following the Messari Mainnet conference. So very exciting week. And I'm really just going to cut all the fluff and hop right into it here with you, Jeremy. I am really much looking forward to hearing some of your thoughts on Balancer, some of the culture over there. So really starting off here, can you just give us like a little quick rundown? What is Balancer?
Yeah, so Balancer is three things primarily. Number one, it's an automated market maker, which acts as a decentralized exchange where users can trade any ERC20 token for any other ERC20 token. Second, it's an automated portfolio manager where you can earn passive yield by depositing your crypto assets into the Balancer protocol, into liquidity pools, where they're used to provide capital to fulfill trading on the AMM side and earn fees for depositors or investors. And the third is it's a platform for development. And this is a really important point because Balancer is designed in a way that is extremely flexible and customizable so that it's not just your typical DEX. It's actually more than anything, a DeFi primitive or a building block that you can use to build all kinds of financial products and services. So this is actually the area where I spend a lot of my energy to drive growth for the protocol.
Very cool. So a couple different things there. How critical would you say Balancer is to the DeFi world then, right? And especially that third point seeming pretty important, right? So like what does a DeFi world without Balancer look like then?
Yeah, I mean, Balancer really acts as this flexible base liquidity layer that all kinds of projects are finding their own unique ways to utilize. For example, you can, if you're developing a new AMM concept, you can build that whole thing from the ground up, or you can actually deploy that within Balancer very quickly, cutting like 90% of your costs and your energy and the audits and security risks by developing the math, the trading curve, implementing that within a Balancer pool, creating a new Balancer pool type, and then deploying that within the Balancer protocol. So this is already proving useful to some of the very innovative teams in DeFi like Element Finance and Gyroscope and more in the pipeline. So that's one of many use cases where Balancer is playing a crucial role. It's not only cutting costs and effort and helping teams get their innovative products to market quickly and securely, but it's also enabling use cases where you might not really be able to achieve it otherwise.
Very cool. Yeah. So if that's Balancer today, what is some of the vision? Like, what does Balancer look like in 5 years? I mean, what's kind of maybe your vision for Balancer having a pretty pivotal role over there?
Yeah, my vision for Balancer, is really along the same lines. In 5 years from now, I want to see Balancer as a underlying infrastructural layer behind many of the crucial products and services that run our financial system. Today we call it DeFi. In 5 years from now, it might just be finance. It's the future of finance now. In 5 years from now, it could just be the present of finance. So Balancer, I think, has always had, like a personality, so to speak, of, quiet and thoughtful innovation and building, and providing support and providing tools to teams who can mold that and use that based on their vision. We don't want to, we're here as a platform, really. So in 5 years from now, I expect to see many different financial services that people interact with on a daily basis on the back end being connected to Balancer. And I would expect that the end users of those services won't need to know that it's built on Balancer. Maybe they will, but I don't think that's necessary. Really what's important is that those developers can rely on this technology to work reliably and securely and provide them with the flexibility that they need.
Do you see a world, that was a very interesting point that you just said, that people might not even know that they're using Balancer. Do you see a world where we're kind of disconnected from it in such a way, like, we might not know which satellite we're getting our internet from right now, right? But everyone being so passionate about DeFi right now, we're very particular about what services and protocols we're using. Do you think that it will become more abstracted like that, where people are just going to be doing the one goal that they're here for, and they don't even care what they're using?
Yeah, I think that invisibility is a trait of great technologies. And just like you mentioned, these very complex satellite systems, we don't see them, we don't know who made them, we don't know how they work, but we're using them, we're relying on them to communicate with our families and, a lot of important things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So that's I think where we're going, and we're the type of people as a team, that are not concerned so much about being loud or being in the spotlight, and we're more focused on building high quality tech that's innovative and that solves problems.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we can even think of, off the top of our head, some more loud tech that is, maybe not as stable or sound as some of the ones that are just quality. You're saying, the good tech is invisible. I like that line a lot. Very cool. So Jeremy, I guess, with DeFi being so controlled by community so much of the time, and everything being, there's obviously a lot of stuff coming out of Balancer, I would like to talk about kind of just you for a couple minutes here. With everything being so community driven, what is life like for you and for the team over at Balancer?
Yeah, so about me, I think that my title, head of growth, can be a little vague. So what I actually do is I focus a lot of energy on partnerships and integrations, such as ours with Mimo and such as many other projects that are looking to utilize Balancer in some way within their project. In some cases, it's a fundamental component of a fundamental composable piece of their puzzle, and in some cases, it's more of an adjacent technology that helps with building liquidity for their token, for example. So partnerships, building public awareness, speaking on behalf of the project and the team, helping people understand what it is that we do and how they can take advantage of our tools, and also owning the strategic roadmap for Balancer Labs as a whole, helping us identify what the opportunities are, how we prioritize them, and bringing the right stakeholders together to develop a plan and to attack each of those opportunities. In this industry and in so many industries, there are always way more opportunities than you can actually devote resources to. If you're trying to do everything, you're going to do nothing. But also, if you're not paying attention to the wide, kind of high-level scope of what's going on, then you might be missing important opportunities as well. So that's also an important part of my job.
Very cool. So I guess, it kind of reminds me of obviously we have like a checks and balances system with like the branches of government, right? In DeFi, there almost could be that similar trifecta with product, community, and growth and marketing and everything, right? So how would you say that your role is, are you communicating more with the community, or are you in there with the product team as well? Are you kind of conveying, hey, here's the trends that we're seeing, here's how we're going to move the product forward next? Kind of how does that relationship look like over at Balancer?
Yeah, it's both. I think collaborating with other teams both within Balancer Labs and within the Balancer community is a big part of what I do. So within Balancer Labs, I work most closely with the integrations team, which you could also think of as like our developer relations team. And this is a team of engineers who works with partner projects to help execute on a technical level what it is that we, us in partnerships have been discussing on a conceptual and strategic level. I collaborate very closely with our marketing team, which is, sometimes marketing is part of growth, and in our case, that's a separate team. Marketing team, so that, these amazing collaborations and integrations that we're developing, marketing makes sure that the world finds out about those and brings spotlight and visibility to our partners to help them grow and help them, build traction. Within the community, the Balancer community has a very interesting structure, and one of the things that I have been focusing on as well is continuing to expand the involvement, the engagement, and the responsibility that community members play within the overall Balancer ecosystem. So, for example, we have a committee called the Ballers, kind of a play on words, Balancer, Ballers. And these are our most dedicated sort of core community contributors. They play a lot of roles within our overall team, and they're very important to the success of Balancer. And then we also have and they sort of play a generalist role where Ballers also sit on other committees, or they sort of organize community events, and it's hard to put into a box exactly what they do. But one thing that some Ballers are involved with is our grants DAO, which I actually helped to set up. We have a committee that is accountable to the Balancer DAO. They have been approved through token holder vote to be given the responsibility and the financial backing from the Treasury to allocate funds to, finance the growth of projects that are bringing significant value to the Balancer ecosystem. This is a team of people, none of which are from Balancer Labs. None of which are controlled by Balancer Labs. It's fully out there in the community. We also have a liquidity committee, which is in charge of deciding where to allocate liquidity mining incentives within the pools on Balancer on a weekly basis. That's a process that's partially governed by BAL token holders through a voting process, and then also partially through the liquidity committee through their own voting process. Mm-hmm. Those are a few examples.
So there's a lot about community here, right? And obviously, community is just critical in any DeFi project. I have a question about, what is your take on, I think about the Groucho Marx line, which I totally love about, he says something like, I would never want to be part of a club that would have me as a member, right? And it's almost like this push and pull because, such an important thing about community is like, all right, it's a little exclusive. There's something special going on here. I can maybe add value in a particular way. But at the same time, if you were just to brute force adding people into a community, well, it's just entirely inorganic and you're going to have a crummy community at the end of the day. How do you go about community growth? Like getting the right people, getting the people that actually care, that are going to maybe not put in the work, but at least just put forth any type of value instead of taking?
Yeah. Two words that come to mind are inclusivity paired with accountability. So we are open to people who want to join our community and find their role, find how they can contribute, what they can do. If you're a software developer, then you can get involved in writing code or reviewing code or helping to evaluate things on a technical level that are going on in the community. If you're a marketer, if you're good at partnerships, if you're great at social media, if you're a memer, if you're great at operations, organizing things, there are so many opportunities. It's really endless. So we really welcome people with open arms to be a part of our community, and we also combine that with a level of accountability where if you agree that you're going to make a commitment to play a specific role, then there will be expectations that you're going to follow through with that, because we're counting on you. Mm-hmm. It's not just casual. We're doing something really important. We have a really big vision here, and we want you to be an important part of that, and we want you to be held to the standard, because you're surrounded by other people who are working hard and they're dedicated to this mission. And if you're not, then that wouldn't be fair for everyone else for you to continue to be a part of it. And, community contributors are compensated by the DAO. Mm-hmm. It's not just volunteer work. I mean, this is sort of a future of work type of concept. You come to the Balancer DAO, you want to make a contribution, you're going to be rewarded for that as well.
So it almost seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost seems like the culture at Balancer itself kind of carries over into the community, right? If you just started off with a culture that was already just not ideal, right, and not optimal, not efficient, then your community is just going to pick up on that. Would you say that's kind of like how it's kind of working as far as the community? I imagine there are not too many bad actors and people that are disappointing everyone else because of this solid foundation already there.
Yeah, I think that a community inherits the traits sort of just through osmosis or through some natural process, inherits the traits of, the team that's building the project and the people around them. So, for us, if we create that environment and that culture in the right way, then it spreads. It not only attracts people who resonate with that same ideology and that same way of going about things. You look at this, you see how things are going, and you can feel like this is the kind of community that I would like to be a part of. These are the kinds of people that I would like to work with. So yeah.
How do you go about like assigning the duties and stuff like that? And so like your two words are the accountability and inclusivity. It was, right?
Yeah.
So the accountability, creating that accountability without, because it's not a job, right? It's a DAO, but at the same time, it has all the responsibilities that a job might have. I've heard stories about people being inside a DAO and they just get accepted very, very easily. They're like, oh, well, you sound cool, welcome. And then they just start barking orders at them. And they're like, all right, this is not into exactly what I anticipated here, right? So are there any hoops that maybe like have to get put up until you're, basically what I'm wondering is, how do you get the accountability out of them without making it seem like a career or a job or something like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's usually a conversation up front about how do you see yourself contributing. First of all, what are you interested in, but also what kind of commitment can you make? And there's this is one of the roles that the ballers play. The ballers sort of regulate the community in this way, where there are recurring meetings every week, these community calls where everyone goes through sort of what's being worked on, and each person is checking in and having a chance to ask questions and stuff. So, and that's where the leadership in the community. That's not me. That's not Balancer Labs. Those are community members who have taken this leadership role. They've been contributing. Many of them have been contributing to Balancer for a long time without anyone asking them to do that and without anyone paying them anything, because we didn't have that structure in the beginning. It grew around these very important individuals who stepped up and were passionate about this and just took that initiative.
Absolutely. Very cool. So, Jeremy, what is something that you wish more DeFi users knew about the tech behind Balancer that maybe not everyone is getting to appreciate if they're just kind of using the front end and just leveraging the app on that side of it?
Yeah, I think that there's a conventional idea of an AMM, and it's easy for people to like automatically group Balancer together with like Uniswap and Sushi and Bancor. It's like one of several AMM options. where you have 50-50 pools and, the whole standard issue format. Balancer is really extremely different from that. The types of, pool weights that you can create on Balancer lead to a very different result. For example, where you can create a pool that is, instead of 50-50, it could be 80-20, which is a great way, for example, if you're building liquidity behind, let's say you're a DeFi founder, DeFi project team, you launch a token. An important thing that you will need to do is create a liquid market behind your token to help it thrive in the long run. You could create a 50-50 pool like what most teams do on Uniswap, which is the most popular option. And when you do that, you're asking everyone in your community to take, first of all, huge impermanent loss risk. And you're asking them to, if they don't have the equivalent value available in their wallet of ETH or some stable coin to pair with your native token to deposit into your pool to be a liquidity provider, to help make a market for your token, then you're actually asking them to sell half or some amount of your native token in order to be a liquidity provider. You're actually putting them in a pretty tough spot that sucks. And a lot of them are just going to actually choose not to do that, or a lot of them will do it out of their dedication to the project, or maybe because they don't understand what the risks are, and they're actually going to pay a heavy cost for that, because as your token, you're asking people who believe long-term that your token is going to appreciate in value, you're asking them to not participate in that upside. Because as your token goes up, in a 50-50 pool, you're continuously selling it in order to maintain that balance. So 80-20 pools are a really great alternative, which you can develop on, build on Balancer very easily and just deploy. Where
hint, hint, we have one.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, not to go off on too long of a tangent here, but
the tangent is perfectly valid, because I think the value proposition for Balancer is massive, right? And I guess I mean, you mentioned like Uniswap and Bancor and some other ones. What is the how else are you kind of not selling, but I mean, how is it? The major differences, right? I mean, yes, we can do 80-20 instead of 50-50. That right there is just obviously massive, right? What else is, how else is Balancer kind of contributing here then?
Yeah, I mean, I think the 80-20 pool example is just a very kind of simple, low-hanging fruit example, but
it's perfect though, right? It's huge.
It is huge, and it's not sufficiently understood yet, because I think the more projects recognize this, the more they're starting to use it. The biggest project to use this is Aave, which has $500 to $600 million liquidity pool. It's a core piece of their security staking safety module on Aave. But other than that, I mean, Balancer really is, in many ways, it's like not even in the same conversation as those other platforms, because Balancer is an AMM of AMMs. You can build any AMM concept within Balancer through what we call like custom AMM logic. Whereas sort of without Balancer being here, was kind of that scenario that you laid out before. If Balancer didn't exist, you have a concept for a new type of AMM based on optimization for some kind of assets, some kind of use case for assets that need to trade against each other. You got to build the whole thing from the ground up. You got to bootstrap liquidity for this network. You got to, make sure it's secure. You got to deal with all kinds of accounting, all kinds of, stuff, which I'm not saying that, founder who's listening to this, I'm not saying you can't do that. You can do that. But as another option, you can just develop that mathematical formula and plug that into Balancer and deploy a liquidity pool that trades that way. And there's your solution, right? You're off to the races.
What I would like to add here as a user, I mean, again, I think the conversation is interesting because we are users of Balancer. So we're asking you to describe what we're using every day. Again, it's the stablecoin pool that you have. You can have a stablecoin pool on Balancer without asking anyone, with pretty flexible set of parameters, tune like how the curve of your between your stable pools between your stable coins is going to look like, and you can have like as many as 6 stable coins in there. This is unique, and to be honest, like what you were describing about Balancer wanting to be piece of infrastructure for DeFi protocols. I mean, we didn't even ask you guys; we just built on it. Like we were like, well, we need to do X and Y and Z and D, and well, looks like Balancer can just do it. We picked you as a piece of software without even looking at the community, without even looking at anything. There's an audit, the code looks fine. We looked at the code very heavily. But for us, you were a piece of software. Now we're discovering much more. You have a community and all that, and that's great. But, well, you're a good building block. And I think what you were describing as the future goals of Balancer, I mean, we are a testimony that it's already here. Like we could build, as you could see, the partnership between like Mimo and Balancer happened between communities. It didn't happen between the heads. There was no closed boardroom where you had people sitting like, okay, we're not gonna pick Uniswap, we're gonna pick Balancer. No, it was just a bunch of engineers, me, my guys there at Mimo, like looking at a lot of smart contracts and realizing, oh wait, that's gonna be good. We're just gonna save a ton of time. And what we have in mind, like for our future roadmap, using your BPT tokens in our code is even like bigger than this. Like we are really considering Balancer as a reliable piece of infrastructure, and what you do with stablecoins is very convenient for us, like as we are behind the par token. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I mean, full disclosure, this is our first time talking. Like,
absolutely.
You guys have been using Balancer in a really crucial way. You never had to talk to me, right?
Yeah.
Our community actually, this whole partnership came 100% through community collaboration, and I think that's amazing, and that just is a testament to our vision to be fully decentralized, and to empower our community to really manage important things and make important decisions and not need to rely on us. We're not pulling the strings here.
That's good. I mean, this is one of the differences between DeFi and finance. Like, it's protocols interacting with each other. It's not only companies interacting with each other. I believe this is really important. We have those DAOs all interacting for the better, like really for the benefit of users. And honestly, I believe this is pretty cool.
And it's only going to continue happening. I mean, this is just it's absolutely taken up. You said the future of work. It's absolutely where we're heading. So Claude, actually, I have a question for you real quick. Is there anything that you can speak to as far as your vision for Mimo in relation to how we're going to continue integrating with Balancer?
Well, I mean, I can only discuss a little bit on this because, again, I do not like to talk about what's not ready. But
that's why I'm asking to see what I can get out of you here.
No, it's rather simple. We, as you know, I mean, you stake on Balancer, the LP tokens or the BPTs. It is pretty easy for us to get to know the price of what's behind the BPT because, again, Balancer is very easy, very composable, so you know very transparently what the BPT token represents. When you know about this and you know that each asset behind the BPT has a chain link price feed, well, you can think about, oh, maybe that kind of looks like an index fund. And maybe we can start to list this. And maybe we can start to use this for a leverage thing. And maybe you can use this primitive for something else. So really, it all goes behind the logic of leveraging not only the pools, but really what comes out of the pools. And well, this is the logic that we're building right now. Like we're really working on using BPT tokens. I mean, Balancer pool tokens for people not following yet. Sorry. So it's really about giving better end product to the users by leveraging the Balancer pool tokens. So on the surface, what it would look like is safer ways to have little impermanent loss and very high yield. That's the best I can tell you. Now,
it's beautiful.
It's again, I don't want to oversell something that is not production ready. We're working like night and day for that. Again, it's not only because of Balancer. It's also because of the fact that Balancer develops on not only on Ethereum but also on other chains. Because for what we're working on to be efficient, we will need like really fast blocks. And good thing Balancer isn't Polygon. honestly, wherever balancer will be, it will be easier for Mimo to work. Like, it's not like we cannot work with a balancer. We need to be somewhat independent, but still, you guys are making our lives easy. So
Jeremy, don't stop.
Yeah, don't stop. Like, keep putting on those L1s and L2s, and we'll be there. Don't worry.
Awesome. Actually, so another use case of balancer that's actually relevant to Mimo is that you can use Balancer to build structured investment products, structured financial products, such as index funds. And we recently announced a partnership with WallStreetBets, which is deploying. They're launching a WallStreetBets index of tokens. It's basically a basket of tokens that are selected by the WallStreetBets community through their own voting process. They get put into a Balancer multi-asset pool, and then you can invest into those assets by simply buying a single token, which is basically the pool token, giving you exposure to all those tokens underlying. I don't know if you guys know this, but PAR is one of the assets that is in this investment pool by
Really?
Wall Street. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's great news. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is an ETF of tokens.
Right. It's
And
an
this
ETF.
is the subreddit that spearheaded this?
This was a collaboration with Tekami Capital, which has already deployed other indices on Balancer, such as the Brave New Coin DeFi Blue Chip Index, and Tekami and WallStreetBets. They collaborated with our team to develop this concept, and actually, this is being built on a new type of pool that we just went live with. We actually haven't really announced it much yet, but I guess I am right now. We will soon, but it's actually live. These are called investment pools, and it's a super exciting use case. This is a use case that's gaining a lot of traction.
The trend
right
is
now
going to continue.
Balancer.
Absolutely.
It's pretty interesting you're telling me about this, because we were about to build that without asking you again. Like,
That's
amazing. That's how good the product is. Like, honestly, thank you very much for working on that. It's cool. It's helpful.
Absolutely. Jeremy, do you think that we're forgetting anything?
I don't know. I feel like we're covering some great ground here, but happy to.
There's definitely a lot. Claude, do you think we forgot anything?
Of course, we can always add one thing. Are you guys looking for anybody? Because, I mean, as always, in any public appearance I will keep mentioning that we're hiring. So, we're hiring. We're always looking for developers. And are you?
Yeah.
All
We're
right.
looking for developers, front end, Solidity. We're looking for engineers who would be interested in like not only working on technical work, but also interfacing with like partners and helping these partnerships come to fruition on technical level. We're hiring people on partnerships, biz dev, marketing, you name it.
Yeah, as you could see, it looks to be pretty cool working with these guys, and they are our friends. So go work for them if you don't work for us, right?
Very good. Yeah, let's try to like intercept any applications coming through first. Very cool. Well, Jeremy, thank you so very much. Where do we find you? How do we follow you? See what you're up to?
You can find me on Twitter at IMMUTBL, immutable, spelled a little bit creatively.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I guess that's going to wrap it for now. Jeremy, thank you very much. Claude, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So long.